What's up, Digital Pigskin? Again, Community Day video. This is a suggestion we got from, I believe the username is Sensico. Don't hold me to that, but that's how I would pronounce that. And he wants us to talk about pocket formation. So, very good topic. We're going to not only talk about it, we're going to compare Madden to All-Pro Football. And I really don't like Madden's pocket. And I'll tell you why. Because I think it really favors the defense. As dumb as that sounds. Because when you look at the way these tackles approach not just defensive ends, but linebackers in this game, you'll see that the linemen always go to the defender. You see here number 77? He's going to go out to make contact with number 90. Now on the other side, you're going to see number 74. He is going to go out to make contact with number 91. Now, when you talk about a traditional pocket in football, generally they have some type of horseshoe-like shape. You've got your quarterback standing back here, and then your line should stay in pretty tight proximity to each other in most cases, depending on, how many down linemen there are or how far the ends blitz around the side. But this gapping, this spacing to me is way too much. And a lot of times what happens is when you have one of these defensive ends that have already had the tackle commit way too much, get beat, it really just leaves things very disjointed. You see here number 63, even though he technically doesn't have an assignment, even if this was All-Pro Football, there's so much spacing between here and here that he doesn't know who to go help. If anything, he should be backing up, and sometimes you do see that in both games, to be honest with you. He should be backing up to try to prevent this from happening. But, as I said, the reason this happens is because once your tackle commits out, he's actually getting himself out of where the pocket should be. And once that happens, there's really no saving your quarterback. What the tackles in this game need to do is stay home, so to speak, not be so aggressive, and allow the defensive ends or blitzers to come to them. That's the way it's done in real football. That's the way it should be done in the game. So we're going to go ahead, load up All-Pro Football, and take a look at a pocket in that game. Alright, we got All-Pro Football 2K8. Just going to, for continuity's sake, show this play. Catch by the late, great John Mackey, Hall of Fame tight end for the Colts. And now we're going to take a look at this line. Now, the first thing I want to focus on is those offensive tackles. And like I talked about, when you're trying to form a pocket, it's critical, it's imperative that you let the defender come to you. You don't go get the defender. And when you look at this game, most of the time that's what happens. Nothing's perfect. I think there's a big misconception that people want perfection. I just want to be able to apply football fundamentals to a game and make sense of it. Now, you can see here, it's a good 2-3 seconds into this play before these two make contact. And that's because this tackle is trying to keep his defender in front of him. He is going to read. He is going to react. Not the other way around. He's not going to run out and be aggressive and engaged. On the other side, you see the same thing. And this is what I talked about when I said, let the spacing here, these big open gaps, let those be provided by how far the ends want to rush back around. Now, I want to come up here and focus on this aspect of the play, and it's a little confusing because there's two number 69 side by side. But the 69 I'm talking about is actually on the left side. Now, this line stunts just a little bit. And what eventually happens is the number 69 on the right basically absorbs this defensive tackle into a block, and it leaves number 69 on the left with basically nothing to do. I mean, you can see here he really doesn't have an assignment. He's just standing there. And there's times in this game where he does just stand there the whole time. But in this example, you can see, like we talked about, you want to have happen. He backs up a little bit, and he gets into this area. And I'm not going to say that this area is in a cluster of animations, but I'm willing to risk this. Okay, I've got four offensive personnel against 3 defensive personnel. Unless there's some weird animation glitch, they're not going to get through, hopefully. Again, I'm not saying it never happens, but I would much prefer this than to have my linemen into little cells of 1 or 2 or 3 blocks where there's a lineman and a lineman fighting it out for position. So, again, when we talked about the horseshoe, you can almost see the shape forming here. And what I'm going to do to make this really clear for you guys to compare is I'm essentially going to take a line and connect it to the belt loop of all the offensive linemen and create what the pocket would look like and outline it in red. When we look at All-Pro Football, you can see it's very circular. the running back is in the block and he's inside that circle. When we look at Madden, you can see it's almost a line straight across. You don't see the halfback in the block there, but you really don't need to, because the way that pocket forms with those tackles running out, it's what causes this. Again, when we go back to All-Pro Football, notice the difference between where the guards are and the tackles are. And when we go back to Madden, again, note where the guards are and the tackles are. Ask yourself, what's a more realistic pocket, and which do you want in the game you're playing? And more importantly, why don't we have this type of pocket forming in Madden, and what can they do to correct it in the next version of this game? Because it's obviously something that needs to be addressed. The line is the core life of a football team, and if we can't simulate a line, then we're going to have a very hard time simulating realistically everything that happens around it.